Well, I'm from all over. I've lived in Texas, in Canada, New York City, Chicago, but I've lived in Syracuse the longest. So my mom's an immigrant, and she came from the Caribbean, and my dad came from Africa, Ghana in particular. That's where he was born, was raised. I went to high school here in Syracuse, and I graduated actually from Jamesville DeWitt High School. I am a PhD student in Cultural Foundations of Education, so I'm in the School of Education. And most of what I talk about or am interested in is intersections of identity, and so race and gender and class. What sort of made me passionate growing up, I would say my mother, she was like the youngest of 5, and her family was very poor, you know, and so, and she grew up in a totally different island and culture, and so to come here and to hear those stories about the women in my family who've made those sacrifices for people. And I think being African American, and I think this is true for women who are also Latina and other cultures, is that women teach you the stories of other women so that you know who's come before you. The mission of the Image Initiative really, at our core, is empowerment. I think there's a perception when you talk about young women in the city that they don't have a passion for education or they don't have a drive, and that's completely not true. A lot of our girls want to do things like be doctors and lawyers, and they have, you know, these ideas. I really want to do X, I want to be a nurse, I want to be such and such. And I'll say to them, well, who do you know that's a nurse? And that's where they draw a blank, right? So then there's nobody in their world that they know that's a nurse. But it's not that they don't want to do those things, it's that they don't have the people to look up to and say, I know so-and-so's mom who's a nurse, you know, she could be a mentor or she could point me in the right direction. We have volunteers who are college students in all different majors: Whitman, Newhouse, sciences. We have students in biology. We have students that are in public policy. And so those connections are really good because they're college students. And it's good for them to see Black and Latina women who are in college and who are being successful and that they can relate to. If your parents have not gone to school, you don't know what you need to do, right? And so it's like we're finding the people that fill in those gaps and say, that's okay. Maybe your parents don't know, but we know, and we'll take the responsibility to do that. And that's what a lot of the women in the organization do.
The founder of the Image Initiative is Nicole Jones-Watkins. So she wrote the business plan for an organization that would mentor and inspire young women of color in the city of Syracuse. So one of her thesis advisors, Dr. Katrina Stapleton, thought it was a terrific idea, and she suggested that Nicole actually put it together. So at the time, Chancellor Cantor was relatively new. There was a Scholarship in Action program. So we thought, wow, we could probably really get the support of the university to at least host a conference to get this started.
You can't say that you are a publicly engaged scholar if you don't work with the public. To me, for me to be accurate and say, these are the things that they're struggling with, or these are the things that we need to make the quality of their education better, I have to talk to them and find out what it is that they need. So that it really sort of, for me, is kind of like a back and forth. So this is what the literature says. This is what the young ladies are saying. This is what the theory says. This is what they're saying. Sometimes those don't jive. So, you know, and sometimes I go with what they tell me because obviously that's where it's at. I think it was 2010, one of our board members, Dr. Aird, and another one of our board members, Griselda, said to the girls, you know, there's been a terrible earthquake in Haiti, and the girls, well, where is Haiti, and what can we do about it? The idea was not only to collect supplies for the women and girls in Haiti, but also to send inspiration along with that, right? Because it fits with what we do, and so that's how the letters started. When the letters finally got to Haiti, they ended up being in the classroom of an elementary school teacher, and she ended up having students from different grades flooding in and asking, where's my letter? Where's my letter from the children in America? It was really powerful to hear that because I realized that it's a two-way thing. I don't think they know much about what happens in Haiti, and I don't know that the kids in Haiti always know much about what happens over here. So this year at the conference, we had a cool moment. We got to Skype with some of the young children in Haiti, and they can have that personal connection. And so I think that's really neat. That's part of our history, the African diaspora, what happened, you know, the fact that people were taken from the African homeland and they were brought here, and so we've now had whole generations who've lived on this side, but we have people who live in Africa, and so I think a sense of identity, like what it means, where you come from, is important for them to understand. But we had our major youth conference, which is called Sisters Empowering Sisters, and several of the young women came up and they said they wanted to come to the front, and I thought, well, what's going on? And they had written a letter to the entire, the board, thanking us for believing in them, for, I'm gonna cry, for seeing their worth of who they are, people don't do things for them, so for doing this for them. And I don't think I got it until that moment.